Hi, this is David Flowers. I'm a licensed professional counselor and I specialize in work with couples. And today I want to talk to you about feelings. Right? Obviously, in a relationship, feelings are huge, right? You want to have good feelings and not have bad feelings. You really vastly prefer it when your partner has good feelings and not bad feelings. So I want to talk to you about feelings and how to think and feel about feelings in a way that may be different than what you're used to, but will be more productive and better for your relationship. So it's important, if you want your relationship to be solid and stable, to kind of get used to thinking of feelings not as judgments of you and your character and your value, but as unpleasant, and we're talking about negative feelings. When your partner's having negative feelings, it's important for you to be able to see your partner's negative feelings as an unpleasant event that is happening to your partner. Think about that. If your partner comes in from the garage tomorrow and is bleeding from their head, probably immediately, most people immediately would go, "Oh my goodness, honey, what happened? Man, how can I help?" Right? And you'd go and you'd get a cloth and you'd put it up against their head and you'd maybe take them back to bed and lay them down, blow some cool air on their face and just maybe get a bandage. There's all kinds of stuff you would do in that moment to help your partner's negative physical feelings. But when our partners are feeling negative emotional feelings, right, especially when those negative feelings we feel are kind of aimed at us, we lose focus on the fact that our partner is hurting, right? Negative feelings are a form of pain. And when our partner is having negative feelings, a lot of times we'll lose focus on our partner and the fact that they're hurting, and the focus kind of goes on to ourselves and we get defensive and, "Oh, that thing you said isn't really fair. You know what, I take issue with that." And we want to act as if our partner's feelings are something that we can judge or are supposed to judge and evaluate and argue them out of. And I would just ask you, if that's kind of how you've tended to approach things in your relationship, how has that worked for you? Has there ever been a time when your partner was feeling really angry or really hurt or really upset that you responded in a defensive or evaluative way? "Oh, I don't think you're being very reasonable right now. I don't think it's fair that you said what you said. Your feelings don't make any sense. That's ridiculous." Has that ever once produced a positive outcome with your partner? I'll bet anything that it hasn't. That doesn't work. It doesn't work and it can't. Because primarily, your partner's negative feelings and negative feelings you have toward your partner's negative feelings toward you are not about you. They're really not, for the most part. Okay? You do something and it sets off a series of kind of chemical things going on inside your partner, and those things are being triggered by your behavior, but it's based on your partner's unique background and experience and some of the past wounds maybe that they've ended up suffering, on their opinions, on their view of the world. And so something you do that really hurts your partner, if you had a different partner, that same thing you did might not hurt them at all. Do you understand? Feelings are events. Feelings are things that are happening inside of you and inside of your partner. And once you come to understand that, the more you realize that, and the more able you are to connect with the idea that your partner's feelings are something negative that is happening to your partner in that moment, the more you realize, my job right now in this moment isn't to try to argue with my partner, even if they are taking a shot, even if they do say something unfair. How's it going to help if you respond in a defensive way? So when your partner is feeling something negative, your best bet, okay, hopefully they handle that responsibly and really talk to you about it in a reasonable way, but even if they don't, your best bet is to try and hear how they're feeling, to hear that they are suffering, that on some level they are in pain, and what they are doing by coming and talking to you is they're asking you to be there for them. Think about that. They're asking you to be there for them because you're their husband or their wife or their partner, and you're supposed to be to them the person that is, their person, the person that they depend on whenever they're struggling. And so what we often end up with in relationships is, what we call death by 1,000 cuts, right? If you're, like I said, if your partner comes in and they're bleeding from their head or from their eyes or something, clearly you're probably going to know that moment is calling on you in that moment to respond with compassion, with empathy, and to really be there and have your partner's back. Well, you know what? When your partner's angry, when they're hurting, when they're upset, when they're discouraged, when they're frustrated, even if you don't understand the reasons, even if you don't think that the thing that they're saying is upsetting them, about you, even if you don't think that thing is something you really did, or you don't think they're being fair, they're coming to you with those feelings because they need you to be there for them. And a lot of us really struggle with that. I've struggled with it most of my life, and here I am at age 53, just really beginning to really get this in my own relationship in the last 5-10 years. So ask yourself the question, what will be required from me next time my partner is hurting, upset, angry at me or with me? Ask yourself the question, what will it take for me to take a deep breath and to have my partner's back in that moment? And I know it's probably a mind-blowing thing. We're not used to thinking of these things in that way. But you know what impairs trust in relationships, perhaps more than almost anything else except, affairs, is these constant small moments where you need your partner or your partner needs you because you're upset in some way and you feel dismissed, unheard, misunderstood, or even worse, judged, evaluated, criticized, dismissed, or demeaned by your partner when you're in that place. So like I said, get used to try to think about your feelings and your partner's feelings, unpleasant feelings especially, as difficult or negative events that are happening to you or to your partner, just like if your partner was hurting physically, and try and see them as opportunities for you to actually show up and be with your partner in that difficult place. Now, you might say, well, Dave, my word, okay, I get the point, but how in the world do you do that? Right? That doesn't come naturally to most people. So I may do a different video on that topic, but if that's a really difficult thing for you, then it really calls for what we call self-soothing or self-regulation. Think about, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, I'm going to wrap up with this. If your boss took a huge bite out of you first thing in the morning, they said something super critical and super unfair, and you're just like, that is so ridiculous that they said that, would you just immediately get defensive and yell? Would you, immediately burst into tears or, approach them, aggressively and, be defensive and angry back? Probably if it was your boss, you probably wouldn't. You might feel hurt, but my guess is you'd probably try to contain that. You try and think it through. You might talk to some trusted friends and then decide whether or not to have a conversation with your boss about that. And then you would try to do that conversation in a very wise, careful way. So when our partner is angry and hurt and upset, it's the same thing, right? We don't want to just respond out of that angry, hurt, defensive, sort of morally outraged place that is in us. We want to learn to contain that with our partner, just like we would with a boss, with a colleague at work, or with a close friend. And be really careful about how we respond to our partner in that moment. So I'll talk to you more about this in a future video, and as always, I'll write a blog post sometime in the next week that'll take some of the ideas in this video and expand on them a little bit further. So again, summary, general idea, get used to the idea of thinking of your partner's negative feelings not as objective statements about your value as a person, but as negative experiences that are happening to your partner, which really require you to be there and care for that person and love that person and demonstrate empathy and compassion for them. And the more you do that, the better you learn how to do that, the more you will build trust in your partner. Okay, you will say, when I need my partner in ways large and small, my partner has my back. Okay, and that person will be able to say that of you, as the two of you are both working on implementing that. As always, if you need some help with that, look me up. You're welcome to sort of come see me, and I would love to work with you and see what I could do to help you. You can go to my website, davidflowerstherapy.com. Check out a little bit more about how I work. You can see some FAQs there, my approach to working with couples. Also there on the website, and there should be a link to that below this video. Also there in that same spot should be the links to my different social media sites and all that. And you're welcome to follow me there, including YouTube. All these videos end up getting posted ultimately there as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Have an awesome rest of your week. Take care.